Hello, everybody. I'm here today with another amazing artist, Brooke Ellen. Tell us a bit about yourself. How did you start music? What do you do musically?
I started music probably around 12, 13 properly. I've always done like performing arts and stuff. I did acting from like a really young age. But music was kind of something that I got into not more recently, but like as I became a teenager, it kind of went from acting to musical theatre to just music on its own. And that's like really where I like really fell in love with the industry. I write a lot of songs off mental health, off my own experiences, things that I've struggled with, my own personal struggles of people who I appreciate people around me. And I like to put that out there because I think that in doing that, I can hopefully help someone else with how they feel, because that's what music did for me. A lot of artists that I listened to when I was younger, a lot of them touched on their mental health, and I really found that helpful when I struggled. So I want to kind of give that back with what I'm doing. I started properly when I was 15 professionally.
15, okay.
That was when I released my first song on YouTube.
Okay, that's an interesting point. When you say, sorry to interrupt you, but when you say professionally, what does that professionally mean to you? What's that line that separates you from a professional artist rather than just someone who is doing this as a hobby?
Okay, so when I started music, I started songwriting like straight away because I've always kind of liked English, like creative writing, that sort of stuff. So that was kind of what I like started with, was like songwriting, and I did like a couple of high school performances with like own songs that I'd written. But what I think kind of distinguishes between the two, because obviously they're both songs that I've wrote, but one was kind of just a small stage performance and the other one was like a full production process. I think that going through like the production and the mixing and the mastering and everything else that you do as an artist when you make a song, I think that's what gives it the level of professionalism that makes it more than just a hobby type song.
So when you put a song out there, it separates you from the rest of your career, seeing that I'm getting into this as a professional artist, not just someone who just go around and play his stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you play any instrument yourself?
I say play. I do play a little bit of piano and a little bit of guitar. I am planning to obviously do more with that, but at the minute it's play but kind of not at the same time. Like I can do basic things on them. And I do most of my composing on piano. So like the bass line of composition, so like I'll come up with a song, and then I'll grab piano or guitar and I'll just do basic chords along with it to kind of get the melody and kind of like the drift of the music, like the vibe that I'm trying to go with. It
helps, yeah, definitely.
And then it goes into like the full production process with like the...
Do you think it's important to be able to play any instruments to be a musician, or you can be a musician without being able to play any instrument?
I'd say music is like a very abstract concept in that point. I feel like obviously if you play an instrument, people are going to recognise you more as a musician than someone who doesn't play an instrument. I play instruments because it's something I love doing. Obviously music as a whole is something I love doing, but singing is like the main focus of my music. And I feel like a lot of singers especially are kind of pushed to the sidelines a bit in that respect. I'm not really seen as proper musicians because obviously I do a bit of the production, but I work with a producer who does most of my production. Like we work together on it, and a lot of musicians are kind of pushed out in that respect, and people kind of go like, oh, you're not doing your own music, you're getting someone else to do it for you, you're just singing along to it. And that's not the case. And I feel like obviously like singing is such an important instrument. So I'd kind of say it's kind of like, it's how people interpret it, it's kind of subjective. But for me, personally, I'd say you don't need to play an instrument to be a musician. I think you could bang a pan on the countertop and that's music in its own form.
Rhythm, yeah.
Anything that you do, it's music
possible.
in its own form.
That's actually interesting because as you probably faced it yourself, a lot of the times, especially with social media and everybody out there would be able to comment and like and comment on your artwork, whatever it's going to be, if it's going to, obviously in this case, it's going to be music. But a lot of people come and say, oh, that's not a definition of a piano player, or that's not a definition of a musician, Do you think there is a line? Because in my perception, I think when you start something and in your head you think you're serious about something, it's going to be an ongoing journey. So there is a beginning, but there is no end to it.
Yeah.
And wherever you are in that scale, you're still going to be defined as that person. For example, if I start playing piano today, I'm a pianist, but maybe a crappy one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'm through that journey, and obviously the more effort that I put into it and the more time that I put into it, and I practice it more and more, I would be able to so-called master my craft, right?
Yeah.
But what do you think? Is there a line for you personally? For example, you said you started playing keyboard and piano, right? So is there a line that you would say, okay, I am the master now, or I'm really good right now, or I am a real piano player right now, or?
I don't think there's a line. I think the minute that you decide that it's something you're going to take seriously is the minute that you are a musician. Like the day I woke up and I went, okay, I'm going to start the process now to create a song. I was a songwriter, in my opinion. Before I started doing it professionally, as I put it, when I first started, when I wrote my first song, I was a songwriter because I wrote a song. Obviously, I think there's a difference between just doing it as like a creative hobby and a professional career. But I don't think that there's, like, it can go from a hobby into a career, which is what happened with me. I don't think there's a line. I think it's just kind of the minute that you decide that it's something that you're interested in, whether it's a hobby or whether it's a profession, you are a musician, you're a pianist, you're a guitarist.
100% I agree. Have you released many songs so far?
Well, I wouldn't really put it as many, but I have released a fair few in terms of like where I'm up to in my career. Like obviously being a young artist, especially, and I just got out of college this year, so it's been really hard financially to fund what I'm doing. But I've worked really hard to get where I am. So at the minute, I've got my first songs that I mentioned previously. The first song I released when I was 15.
Okay.
They're technically unreleased at this point. They're not like officially released on like my Spotify and everything.
Okay.
I have 6 songs out on Spotify.
Wow, that's really
at this
good.
point. Yeah. I have my EP, which was kind of my first project that I did. Which was kind of like the start of my musical journey. I started that from 16, and released it like just as I was about to turn 18. So it took me a long while to finish it, but it was kind of like an ongoing thing that I was doing. And then just last month, actually, I released my new song, Ex-Best Friend, streaming on all platforms now.
I put the link down below in the description. Make sure you click on that and go have a listen to it. So do you have like a release strategy when you want to release a song?
Yeah, definitely. So my kind of strategy is that I'll finish the song. I'll have everything done. I'll listen to it about 400 times.
Okay. When it's completely ready.
Yeah. So I have to listen to it.
By the way, that's like every musician, because I've been there myself. You want to just listen to it again and again.
Absolutely. Every single, even from like the very beginning.
So you listen to it in the car. You listen to it on the different sound system.
Yeah. 3 o'clock in the morning. It's on my headphones. I'm sat there listening to it. But I'll listen to it about 100 times when it's finally finished. Obviously, I'll get people who I'm really, really close with, the people who I share my music with before it's released, so like my immediate family. I'll get them to listen to it. I'll be like, does anything sound out of place? Is this right? And they'll just kind of look at me and be like, I don't know anything about music. Why are you asking me? And then after that, I'll kind of give the go ahead to like my producer and my mixer and everyone who I work with, and I'll be like, yeah, this is fine, this is great. And then immediately after that, I'll pitch it to Spotify. I'll set up the ad campaigns I can get going. And then I start releasing like little teasers. And then the closer I get to release date, I'll release more. So like I might release like the first like little bit of it on my TikTok like 2 weeks, 3 weeks before it's released, and then like a week before it's released I'll release a different part of the song. Like
a mashup or a remix or something like that. Okay.
And then I'll use it as many times as humanly possible in that like month to kind of get people excited for it. And then after that it's just kind of, I'd say the real work kind of starts after the song is released, because obviously you can do all that beforehand, but you've got to wait till the song's actually released to kind of get everything in motion as far as like promotions and stuff go. So obviously like I have that release plan, but then after the song is released is when I'll message playlisters, I'll message YouTube channels, TikTok channels, anything I can, anyone I can reach out to, I'll reach out to, and I'll go, can you do a sped up version of my song? Can you do a slowed down version of my song? Can you use my song in an edit that you're doing? Can you promote it like this?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's a lot of hard work, but it's worth it in the end.
No, it's actually very interesting to see such a young musician to have this knowledge and be able to like use that knowledge out there for yourself, and I think it's amazing, honestly.
Thank you.
So you want to make a song. What's the very first step that you do?
Okay, so the very first step that I usually do when I want to make a song is you've got to have some kind of ground to work with. You've got to have an inspiration, because it doesn't matter what that inspiration is. It could be a plant. It could be a piece of ham you dropped on the floor. It doesn't really matter what the inspiration is, but you've got to have some kind of ground to work with, in my opinion anyway. It might be different for other people, but obviously I said earlier on that I work a lot off my mental health. So my inspiration is normally how I'm feeling. It's the emotions that I'm going through at that point in time, or it's a situation and the emotions I felt during that situation, and kind of like recalling like what happened to me and how I felt and what I was going through at that point in time. And that's usually my inspiration for starting writing a song especially. But I definitely say that's my main like point to go off, is you take something, you take an idea and you just have to run with it type thing. So my most popular song that I released, Try Harder, that was, I remember I was sat there with a book in front of me and I was studying for my GCSE exams at the time, which obviously we didn't end up doing, but I was studying for it at the time, and I just kind of was like, I've done so much studying, I overwork myself a lot. And then I kind of went, okay, can I make this into a song? And that's kind of the process I go through, is any negative emotion that I feel, I will immediately go to, okay, can I write this out? Can I make this into something positive in a way? But everyone's kind of different in that respect. But inspiration is probably the main thing that I'd say you have to go off to make it kind of an effective piece and a song that's worth listening to. And again, it doesn't really matter what that inspiration is, you've just got to kind of have something to work with. Okay,
so you find that foundation, and then what's the next step that you do?
Okay, so again, speaking from how I do my next step, so I'll take that and I'll think of like a sentence.
Okay.
So a sentence that kind of, as a whole, describes what I'm trying to put forward. So with the very first song I released when I was 15, Claustrophobia, that I got in my head, I was like sick with the sense of claustrophobia, and I run with that, and that was one of the lyrics in the piece, and that was like my first. It's like a mind map in a way. You kind of build around that. So like you'll get like a sentence, and you'll go, okay, can I put this sentence into a song? If not, I'll kind of like mix and match it until I can put it into a song, and then I'll either build a chorus off it, I'll build a verse off it.
Do you use any instruments like while you're in that mood and while you're building those, for example, blocks of a song, verse, chorus, pre-chorus, whatever? Or
sometimes.
Okay, so you mainly and purely in the beginning start with the actual lyric itself.
Yeah, it's either the lyric or humming, just humming a tune.
The melody, okay.
That's definitely the main thing I'll go for. Or like, again, when I was writing Try Harder, the lyric I started with for that was I look through my window. Because at the time, I was writing at my desk, and I turned around, I looked through my window, and I was like, okay, I'll take this, I'll run with this. And then I was kind of just like, how can I make a melody out of this? So I was just like, look through my window, and then I kind of ran with that, and continued like adding to it, and I was like, rain hitting shadows with the places that I look, and you just gotta kind of go with what feels right, and if it doesn't sound okay afterwards, because like, again, it's kind of the thing of like you'll listen to it 100 times. Normally I'll put it down for a bit. I'll do a tune. I'll record it on like voice memo or something like that. I'll put it down. I'll do something else. I'll come back to it. I'll listen to it again, and I'll either go, that sounds awful. What was I doing? Or I'll go, that's actually quite cool. I can work with this, and then I'll build off it, and then I'll text my producer and be like, hey, I've got this idea. Can you work with it? Can we work with it? And then they'll go, yeah, make a bass line for it. We'll see what we can do with it. And there's so many pieces that are just scrapped. Or not scrapped, but kind of just put to the sidelines because they're just not, you can't work with them as well as you can work with other pieces. Like, the songs that I've released they just flowed. They just went. And I think that's kind of like really important when you're making a song, is it's just got to kind of come natural to you. You can't really force it. Because everyone goes through like writer's block and things like that. I've gone through so many writer's block moments. And like obviously everyone goes through it. So like my producer will go through like a moment where they can't think of anything, and I'll go through a moment where they'll send me a piece and I'll go, okay, well I can't think of the next step. It's just like a thing that every creative person goes through, whether it's art, drama, dance, music, and you can't force it. Because I've tried to force myself through writer's block phases, and you just can't. It's not something you can force yourself through. You just got to kind of work through it before taking the next step. And I think it's really important to just make sure that it comes natural, whatever you're creating, or it's not going to be what you want in the end.
Find the foundation. You finish the lyric. If you don't finish it, you put it aside and let it just be there until that kind of inspiration comes to you. But if you finish, you carry on. So what's the next step after finishing the lyric? So
after finishing the lyrics is obviously like on some occasions I'll add instrumentation like earlier on, like I'll sit there with my piano, I'll sit there with my I have this little kalimba thing, which is really cool, and I'll pluck that and I'll just sing along to that. Or even guitar sometimes. We'll come into it earlier on, but that is normally the stage where I normally put instrumentation into it. So I'll have like a little melody going, I'll have my lyrics, and I'll kind of hum. And I never took piano lessons, I never took guitar lessons. The only lessons I ever took were for singing, and they were very few and far between. Most of the things I've done is by ear, and it's just come from like...
Have you got perfect pitch or relative pitch?
I'd say relative pitch. I wouldn't say it's perfect.
Okay.
But everything that I've kind of done is by ear, and I've kind of learnt through that, like just through passion alone and drive alone. I've just kind of like gone, okay, so I want to do this. I want to learn how to play piano, so I'm going to do that. And I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to press keys until it makes sense to me. And that's kind of like the process I've gone through with that, with guitar, with kalimba, even with singing to a degree. I've just kind of gone with it and just pushed myself until I've got to the stage where I've gone, okay, I can do this kind of. So normally I'll bring piano into it and I'll just kind of hum whatever melody I had going, and then I'll figure out which chords go with that melody. So I'll be like, okay, so that's a C major. So then I'll play a C major, and then I'll just play it and I'll write the chords down, and then I'll have like a bass line of chords, and then I'll sing along to the chord set after that, and kind of make sure everything sounds okay. And then after that, after I have the bass line, I'll go on the internet and I'll listen to like all of my playlists, like every single playlist I have on Spotify. I'll go through them all and I'll listen to songs that I not copy the song obviously, but inspiration of what I kind of want, like instrumentation wise in the song. So I'll go, okay, so I think this, so I'll listen to it. I'll listen to like an acoustic song, for example, and I'll go, okay, so do I want my song to be acoustic, or do I think it needs to be more than like the vibe of this song? And then I'll kind of go yes, no. If it's yes, then I'll copy the song. I'll send like a list of like 6 to 18, something like a huge list of songs I'll send to my producer, and I'll go, okay, so this is my inspiration for it. This is the chords I have. This is what I was thinking at this moment in time. This is what the lyrics mean to me. And here are the lyrics. Can we do anything with all of this bundled together? And it's just kind of like...
interesting.
Yeah.
When you go and listen back to your songs while you're in that production and while you're producing that song, do you look for coherence in your production? So do you look for, say, okay, I think these elements, if I use it in this production, it makes the whole image of me as an artist more coherent, rather than if I like use these ones, it would make it more crazy. Would you look for that, or?
Definitely, when doing the inspiration for the different songs, I'll definitely go like, oh, this like guitar, like 4 bars of guitar in this one specific song is really, really cool. I want 4 bars of guitar in my song that's really, really cool also, but I don't want those 4 bars because they've already done that. So then I'll go, I want guitar like this, but not this. And then I just kind of, I'll sit there with my guitar and I'll just kind of rework it and rework it and rework it until it's something original and something that I myself have come up with and I can be proud of. Because obviously taking inspiration from things is completely fine, but you don't want to copy other artists, you want to be 100%. Your own original person.
100%.
And obviously you come up with original ideas, but when I was talking about like artist block and stuff like that earlier on, sometimes you just need to listen to other songs and kind of get that inspiration from other people who make music that you enjoy. And it's definitely, especially with my image and the kind of like what I go through, my inspirations musically, but like they had a huge influence on that because as I said, when I was younger and I used to struggle massively with mental health. I mean, I still do, but like, you know, you work through it. And when I struggled massively with it when I was younger, I'd put my favourite artist on and I'd sit there and I'd listen to lyrics and it'd make me feel better. Whether it was sad lyrics or not, what they were saying to me, I'd go, okay, they can relate to me. They have the same feelings as me. This person who I look up to feels the same that I do. Even just another human being feeling the same that you do, because feeling alone is like a feeling that I feel like a lot of people go through, especially artists.
100%. Absolutely.
A lot of the time.
I think mental health is something that every single person on like planet Earth, I'm not really sure if there is other human being on other planets, but I mean everybody would face at some point of their life. I don't really think there is anybody who can say I haven't really faced any mental health issues, because I think it's like a curve that goes up and down. Sometimes you feel really good about yourself and confident, sometimes it goes down, you feel a bit blue. And obviously I think throughout life I have to, as a human being, I have the responsibility to find the tools to be able to lift myself back up again and get to that stage that I feel okay again. It could be whether, like as you said, listening to music, family, friends. For everybody is different, right? But I absolutely agree, and especially what you said there when you were when you were playing the keyboard or the piano, you play all the keys until it feels right. That's how music is created, because at the end of the day, music is all about feeling. You gotta just play it and you gotta feel that's the right note, doesn't matter how many fingers you're holding down, and doesn't matter if it's an F sharp minor 9/7, whatever, it doesn't really matter what it is. If it feels right, it's probably right, right? Absolutely. Found the foundation, you finished the lyric, you went into production and composition, you've recorded some backing track in terms of like all the instrumentation and everything. So what's the next step? Do you go to your producer or?
Yeah, so after I've got kind of like my rough idea of like what I want the song to be, I'll kind of send everything that I have, everything that could possibly help. It doesn't matter what it is. I could literally be like, I sneezed this morning and that reminded me of this. So can you work with that? And just everything that I can think of that could help that song become like such like a good like production piece. Everything that I could think of, I will send across to my producer. Even if it's just random thoughts that come out of my head, I'll send it across and I'll just be like, can we work with this? Can we make something? And a lot of the time, even if I'll send like a rough idea, and my producer, we're very honest with each other. My producer will go to me, I don't think this is you. I don't think this is something that is Brooke Ellen, is something that you're going to like. Because a lot of the time, with my first song that I said, obviously I'm a huge perfectionist, so a lot of the time I'll create pieces and then it'll get to like demo stage and they'll send it across and I'll just go, I do not like this. I cannot do this. So a lot of the time, if I send all of my thoughts over and we get to that demo stage and I feel something's off or I don't like the way it is, we'll find something else in that like bucket of thoughts and we'll pick it out and we can make a whole different song or rework the song entirely, whether it's the instrumentation or lyrics or whatever, just rework it and make something completely new out of it. And I think that's a really beautiful thing about music is you can make anything from anything.
What you said there was very interesting when you said if I sneeze that day, I will send that sound maybe to your producer because that's exactly how it happens. I've heard a sound of a rooster on a hit song. You know what I mean? It might sound ridiculous, but if it works, it works. You know what I mean? It might really sit within the context of the whole song. You know, it might be something about, you might be singing about, I don't know, feeling bad, and obviously like that sneeze can be sampled and it might be able to work toward like getting that message across.
Yeah,
you know?
Definitely. Like even down to that, like it can give inspiration at the very least. Like if for the example, for the purpose of the example, I could send a sneeze and I could go, okay, so now I want to write a song about feeling sick. Like you can just take things and run with them, and I that's what I've always loved about creativity, even not just music but just in general, is you can just take any idea under the sun and run with it and create something absolutely beautiful out of it.
Okay, Brooke, tell me, do you feel that pressure from social media and the music industry that you have to say some certain stuff or look in certain way, or you just do whatever you want to do and you think that's true to you?
Well, obviously, I think for everyone, especially with how like prevalent it is in our lives today, I feel like everyone to a degree does feel it in some sort of way. Even if, you know, you'll just be like scrolling through and you'll see someone and you'll be like, wow, they are so pretty. I wish I looked like that type thing. And it's been something that I have struggled with for a long time. Not so much now. I'd say now I'm pretty comfortable in my own skin. And it's something that I do want to bring into my music in the future, is kind of how I felt at the time when I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. Because again, I want to help other people with kind of how I felt and how I feel now. And like, it's such a huge difference, and I've seen it in myself. Is like I'm really comfortable with who I am now, but I definitely have felt it in the past, and tried to like conform to those beauty standards and conform to what everyone wants you to be. And you know, you go as far as like developing like habits of just like not eating. Like you'll think about it and you'll just feel guilty about going to the fridge and having a piece of chocolate. But like now it's kind of, I'm just at that stage where I'm like, I will go have that piece of chocolate because life's too short for me to sit here and not eat that piece of chocolate because that's going to make me happy. But definitely I have struggled with it a lot in the past.
When you're scrolling on social media, you all see all these pictures and all these six packs and everything. And I think even if you don't do it consciously, subconsciously we do it as well. You know, we compare ourselves. You know, how did you get over that thought, okay, this is, because consciously you realize, okay, this is not real, right? But how do you implement in your subconscious mind that this is not real? Listen to me. You know?
I mean, it's definitely it is a journey. It is definitely a journey. I mean, I'm still going through that journey now. I don't think, even now I'll catch myself doing it occasionally. I've got a lot better of not doing it, but even, it's not even just beauty standards, it's everything nowadays. Like with my music as well, like I'll see people online, like celebrities who got famous at like 14 years of age, and I'm like, well, how are they famous? Like, are they so much better than me? Is there something I'm doing wrong? And I've just you've got to kind of just sit there and you've got to think about it and you've got to be like, okay, well, no, because everyone is different. Everyone on earth is different. Everyone comes in all shapes, sizes. Everyone has such a different point of view on life. They've had different experiences to you. So someone who you're looking at on social media and they're perfect to you, they have the perfect figure, the perfect face, whatever thing you're picking at yourself from and comparing it to them, there's going to be things that they have that they're going to do the exact same back to you. Like if they see you on their feed, or like if you see someone in real life and you go, wow, they are so pretty, I wish I had their nose. They're gonna look at you and go, wow, they're so pretty, I wish I had that colour hair. It's things all the time, and we pick at each other, and it's such like a hateful cycle that you get yourself into, and everyone on the internet gets themselves into, and everyone everywhere gets themselves into, is just comparing yourself to everyone else around you and never looking at you and the good things about you. And I think kind of what I did is I sat there and I went, okay, well, what's things that I've done that I'm proud of and that other people look at and go, wow, that's so cool. And, you know, I got over that because I looked at myself and I went, okay, well, you know, you're happy, you're healthy, you're doing all these things which make you happy, and you're pushing yourself and you're doing what you love, and that's something to be really, really proud of. And in terms of like how I got over, like, because I struggled with body dysmorphia for like quite a while, so how I kind of got over that is I'd look at the different parts of myself that I didn't like, and I'd kind of go, okay, well, my stomach's always been a huge insecurity with myself. I'd kind of go, okay, well, my stomach isn't flat, I don't have abs, but it keeps me warm in the winter. You know, I can walk around outside and be less cold because of it. And it's just kind of like little things like that. Like you just kind of, you've got to pick out the positives, because if you focus on yourself as a negative all the time, then you're only going to see yourself as what you don't want to be. And obviously everyone has goals and everyone works towards different things. Like they, like how they want to look. Like you'll dye your hair, you'll put makeup on, you'll do whatever makes you feel good, but it has to make you feel good. You can't be doing it to like make other people, because you're scared of other people judging you. Because if you're going outside and because I used to do it as well, I'd put a lot of makeup on my face and I'd go to school and I'd be like, I have to do this because if I don't put makeup on, everyone's going to look at me and everyone's going to think I'm weird. And I remember the first time I didn't go in with makeup on for such a long time. And I remember sitting there in the morning, because I think I had an eye infection at the time, so I couldn't wear makeup. I remember sitting there in the morning, I cried. I cried in the mirror because I just didn't. I begged my mum to not make me go to school because I was just so scared of what everyone was going to think of me. And I got there, and literally no one cared. No one mentioned it the whole day. And a few weeks later, I came in with makeup on, without makeup on again. And this one girl went to me, she went, you look sick. Like, why do you look sick? And I was like, oh, I mean, the only thing that's different is I don't have makeup on. And she went, oh, okay. And although she made a comment that I was like, oh, okay, I might look sick, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, because I kind of went into it with the impression that I was going to go into school and everyone was going to go, ew, like, what? Like, why are you just walking around with no makeup on? Like, you look ugly. Like, go away. And that wasn't the case. And, you know, you will get comments like that, but you just kind of move past them and you kind of go, okay, well, it's a silly comment. Like, and of course it affects you. Like, I get hate on the internet now. You know, I get people on my posts and stuff when I'll post myself singing, and I'll get people saying, like, you know, you sound really bad. Like, you're not talented at all. Stop doing what you're doing, stop singing. And, you know, it does affect you, because it affects everyone, whether you want to admit it or not. It does affect you a bit. But then I look at everything good that's going on, and I look at the thousands of comments that I've got from people enjoying my music and people saying that it's helping them, and I kind of go, okay, well, there's one negative person who felt the need to comment because they didn't have anything better to do, is nothing compared to the hundreds of people who are saying that they enjoy it. And you've just got to kind of put it into perspective in that way, because I feel like a lot of people will focus on the one thing.
Yeah. Sure.
And it's kind of human nature in a way for us to focus on our mistakes rather than everything else that's going on. And I feel like once you consciously start going, these are all the good things that I'm doing, these are all the good things with my body, these are all the good achievements I've made, I have wonderful friends and family, I have all these good things going on, you kind of subconsciously start to go, okay, well, that doesn't matter to me anymore. And I've kind of got to that point where I've kind of like moved past, because I used to just sit there and I used to look at like these like one hateful comment, and like I'd have like 100 comments and I'd look at the one that was rude, and I'd just sit there and I'd be like, damn, maybe I should stop doing what I'm doing. And I just kind of go, okay. And you've just got to kind of get to that point, and it is definitely a journey, but I do believe everyone can get there, especially when you have support. And that's what I want to do with my music again, is I want to be able to support other people and kind of go, this is how I felt, here's me at my most vulnerable, we're the same, we're all the same. I think that everyone is the same.
You're very, very, very inspirational.
Thank you.
You know, for a lot of, and I'm being absolutely honest, because I really appreciate the honesty as well, because I think it's really important for artists, because in my perspective, they're the people who are forming the culture in the future. And it's important for them to step forward and say, okay, I felt these ways and it's all right to have those feelings, you know, because I think down the line, obviously you're having a musical journey, and in 10 years time you would be somewhere else musically in your career, and everybody looks back at you and looks back at, for example, in this video, and they say they can see that you've been such an honest musician who stepped forward and felt about like all those insecurities that a lot, to be honest, every single one of us has, but not a lot of people talk about it. But it's important to bring those feelings out and show everybody else that it's okay. Everybody has it. I have it. We're gonna have to deal with it. We're gonna have to find ways to be able to like get over it and get on with life, right?
Yeah.
Have you studied music?
I did study it in GCSE, but one thing which I a lot of people find kind of shocking is that I do not get music theory at all.
Okay.
I just don't understand it for the most part. I understand the bare basics of it, but again, it's kind of something that I just do by ear, and I just kind of go with what feels right. And I feel like that's, again, it's such a like a beautiful thing to be able to, like, you can create something without having this knowledge. Obviously it's helpful to have, but like a lot of people don't have access to the kind of like the education that you know, a lot of us are fortunate to have, and I think it's amazing that you can still pick it up and you can still learn,
of course,
whether you've had education or not, in music theory and in music practical. Sure. I mean, I've done quite a bit of music practical, but the main education I had was in drama, obviously, in that line of work. So it's kind of, music's kind of something that I've always just kind of gone with it and kind of like gone with the flow and just kind of gone with what felt right.
Do you think it's important? Do you think, like, if I don't study music, it makes me any less of a musician, or?
No, I don't think at all. I think that, again, it's something that is helpful to have. The same way that I think being able to play instruments is helpful to have. Being able, like, there's different attributes to music that I think are helpful to have to build your career and build you as a musician and an artist. But I don't think that they're necessary by any stretch. I think they're just kind of add-on components to you as a person, because again, you can learn to play instruments by ear, and that's the amazing thing about them, is you can sit there and you can smack a keyboard all day, and you can look at yourself from when you first started and look at yourself from where you are at the end of the day, and you will still see an improvement. It might be a tiny one, but you will still see an improvement. And I don't think it's necessary. It's definitely helpful, but definitely not necessary.
Definitely not necessary. How do you network? So let's say you want to find producers, co-writers, like musicians who you can collaborate with. How do you find them? Do you have any strategy for it? What do you do?
I would say I don't really have a strategy for it. The main thing that I did, the way that I found my producer, because my producer's all the way in America.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
does it work?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It works really well. I mean, I trust my producer with everything that goes on in my head.
Wow.
He's one of the people that I've opened up to the most, possibly in my whole life.
Yeah, because a lot of experience that you're writing about is a lot of personal experiences and deep down that you might not even told about it to your parents, right?
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, I actually sent him a voice message the other day, and I went, hey, one of the songs that I'm planning for my new album, which is coming out in 2023, I sent him a voice message, and I said, one of the songs that I'm doing for this album is possibly the most vulnerable song that I have, like, the most vulnerable position I've ever put myself in. So I just need to tell you that this is going to be, like, the most open I've been with you up to this point. It is such, like, a huge thing. I think there's probably, like, 4 or 5 people who know the story behind it properly. I probably will give, like, a short, kind of summarized version of what it's about to my audience and my fans, because, you know, I think the meaning's important to share, definitely 100%. With the piece it's about. But he is one of the very few people who I will open up to about that type of thing. So it is really amazing, considering we've never met in person.
How did it happen? What was the first initial thing?
So basically, it happened when my other producer kind of went AWOL, the one who I made the, like, £100 songs with. I was in a point where I was like, I want to continue making music. I don't want to stop this. They're not answering me. They haven't answered me back in, like, 3 months at this point. Okay. I need to find someone who is going to help me. So I went onto Instagram and I just started searching things: music producer, producers looking for songwriters, producers looking for singers. And I found a short video of my producer singing his own song, and I just went, wow, this is really good. And then I messaged him, and I messaged a few others, but he was the main one that I kind of went, this is amazing. This is the kind of, like, I could see the passion that he was putting into his music, and I went, I want to put this into my music. So I messaged him and I was like, hello, help. And then we just kind of started talking from there, and we just, ever since, have just kind of, like, we keep in contact regularly. Even when I'm not making music, we'll just send each other messages and call each other and just be like, hey, how are you? How you doing? How's work? And he's grown to be, like, one of my closest friends at this point. But definitely with networking, it's just kind of, it's, again, you've got to take every opportunity you can. I just kind of, I go on the internet, I'll find people who I think are similar to me, people who have similar passions, similar goals to me, and I'll just reach out to them. If they message back, they message back. If they don't, then it's a lost cause. it's not meant to be. And I've made so many good friends just doing that. One of them is actually, I'm hoping to collab with her on a song on my new album. I met her just through messaging, just going like, hey, I love your content, you're cool. And she messaged back and she was like, hey, I love your content, you're cool. And we just kind of were friends from that. And it's such a great thing. Like, the internet is such a powerful tool, especially when you're networking. And I think most of my contacts who I have now, I have just gone on the internet, searched the most random sentence I could come up with, songwriter, something, and just looked through and researched and found these people who are amazing people. And that's kind of like my main network is kind of built off those type of people. Or like the guy who I record with, I found him through someone else who knew someone else who knew someone else. And I went and recorded with him, and then he was like, I know this guy who does mastering. And I was like, cool, put me in touch with him. And then I messaged the guy who does mastering, and I was like, I love your stuff, can we work together? And it's just kind of like that. You just kind of have to reach out to people, because you're not going to build a network if you don't put yourself out there and just message random people on the internet.
Be open to meeting new people, talking to people, to be able to make that connection.
Again, it's taking risks, obviously safe risks, but it's taking risks in terms of, because a lot of the time you do have that voice in the back of your head still that goes, okay, well, what are other people going to think? Like, if I message this person and go, hey, I found your playlist on Spotify, and then I search your name up on Instagram, can you put me on your playlist? They're going to think I'm really weird. But you've just got to kind of go with it. And you've just got to learn that not a lot of people care. And if they don't message back, it's either they haven't seen it or they just don't want to, and that's completely fine. And if they do message back, then there you go, you've just made a new contact from just reaching out and doing something that was slightly scary. And I feel like that's the music industry as a whole, is that was kind of like my first thought process when I was going to release my first professional song is, okay, everyone's going to think I'm really weird doing this in my school, everyone's going to make fun of me, I'm going to go back to school and everyone's going to make fun of me for doing this. And everyone from my school commented on it and was just so supportive of it that I was like, wow, this is a completely different outcome than what I was expecting. And you've just got to kind of go with it and just take the opportunities as they come to you, because, you know, you do only get one shot at doing it, and you've just got to work really hard and reach out to people and make those connections and build your own grid off risks.
Do you have a mentor, someone that you look up to, someone that when you want to make a decision, you go to them and I say, okay, I want to do this musically, or I want to put this song out there. What do you think?
I'd probably say, it's a very open question in the fact that I have kind of inspiration that I look up to when I'm thinking about things. So like, again, the artists that I listen to were my main inspiration for starting music. So when I was starting music, I looked at them and I went, okay, you did it, why can't I do it? And then I kind of went, okay, I am going to do it because you did it, so I can do it. And you're up there and you're out there, you've done all this, you're amazing and successful, and you helped me through my rough times. So I'm going to do exactly what you did, and I'm going to be amazing and successful and help people through their rough times, and hopefully inspire the next generation of musicians through doing that. But in terms of like personal mentors, I'd probably say the closest to that I have is my producer. Like if anything musical that I'm not sure about, I'll go to him and be like, help, I don't know what I'm doing. Is this a good idea? And most of the time he's right. So
has he released a lot of songs or?
Yeah, his name is Emmanuelle. You can
shout out to him.
Emmanuelle. You can go find him on Instagram.
I'll put the link down below.
We'll link him as well.
Absolutely.
He's amazing. He has been a huge help for me, especially starting out, because obviously when I first pushed myself to do it, the first couple of songs I released, the really cheap ones with the producer, I had no idea what I was doing whatsoever. They just went, record a song on your phone, just sing on your phone, and I'll just put back into it. And you can just release that. And that was kind of like the start of it. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. This is something I made with someone else's help. And that's really cool. We worked on this together and we made it. And then I was like, I want to stop doing that. So then I found my producer and now we do it together. But obviously he has his own stuff that he does as well, and it's amazing. And we have similar, not styles, but like we have similar kind of lyrical, we both take lyrics really seriously. Because obviously mine's a lot on mental health. His is also a lot on mental health. So we both kind of go, okay, so the lyrics are really, really, really important in this. So normally, like when I send him my stuff, I'll go, here's the lyrics. I'm not sure about this specific part of it. What do you think? And he'll either go, I think that sounds great, or maybe we could change it to this, or no, I don't like it at all. I think you should rework it. And that's kind of like, he's kind of like my advice that I go to musically, and has kind of helped me grow a lot as an artist, because obviously I didn't have a clue what I was doing at the start, and he kind of like, he'd point me in the right direction and be like, okay, so you need to get this done for when you're releasing, you need to go do this. This is a digital distribution, you need to go sign up with them, you need to do this, and then you can release it properly. So he was definitely a huge help in the process of me kind of finding myself as a musician. So I'd probably say that's my main mentor that I go to.
That's really good. But that's one of the things that I want to emphasize. It's really helpful. There's nothing wrong to just go and explore the world yourself. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's definitely helpful, and it's going to give you a massive boost as an artist to have a mentor, because they're giving you the information that you're going to just take your time, effort, and you're probably going to spend maybe some money on it and make mistakes. They're going to just give you that experience for free.
Yeah.
And you would be able to use it, so you would be able to get there faster, which is really helpful. I agree 100%. So the big question, do you have plan B?
No.
No
Nope.
Plan B.
No plan B.
Okay, why why not plan B? So in your mind, so I'm not really saying that you're not going to be successful, but for the sake of like showing it to others that what's your thought process and what's going on in your mind, and how do you think as an artist who is going on her path in music industry. So in your mind, you say, if nothing happens in 20 years, I still gonna do music. I'm not gonna go to another so-called 9-to-5 job or anything else. No. That's really good.
Because in my opinion, I did at one point have a plan B. My plan B was I was going to become a psychologist, and everyone was kind of going, yeah, that's such a good idea, because obviously everyone's supportive of my music, but you have people who worry still, and they go, yeah, do it, but also have a plan B. And I was like, okay, so I like psychology, because obviously it's the mental health thing again. Sure. So I was like, okay, well, I can do psychology and help people through that. And everyone was like, yeah, that's a great idea. Go do that. And I in my A-level courses, I was doing philosophy, which I was really interested in. I switched out for biology because I was like, yeah, I'll need that to do psychology in university. And then I got a year into it and went, okay, so I'm not going to be happy doing anything else apart from music. So this was a big waste of my time. And I stuck biology out because I couldn't switch at that point. But, again, it's you make mistakes, you go through this. But for me, I feel like having a plan B is kind of going, in my head, it's me going, okay, I'm not going to put myself fully into this. So for me to fully fling myself into the music industry, I was like, okay, I'm not going to be happy doing anything else. Nothing else interests me as much as music interests me. Nothing else is my passion like music is. So if I have a different career, if I go, okay, well, at least I can make a comfortable living if I do psychology. It's not a thing that, I know I can get by. Even if I work a 9-to-5 whilst doing music, just a random supermarket job, as long as I can get by, I will continue to do music. Because you do only get one life to live. And if you're going to sit there and you're going to go, okay, well, I don't know if I can do this, so I'm not even going to try, then, is there a point in anything, really?
Very true.
So it's definitely, it's something I thought a lot about. It was a plan B, but in the end I just kind of went, there is no point in me having a plan B because I'm not going to be happy if I do anything else apart from this. So I might as well just fling myself into it and give it my all and hope for the best.
How much your parents very involved in your career, in your music career? Like even in terms of like plan B and plan A, did they ever say, do you want to have another job as a plan B? Did they push you toward that direction? And then you decided, okay, no, this is something that I really want to do and music is the only thing.
I think my mum has always been really, really supportive in terms of, she's always supported me doing it, but I think she was a little bit worried that at one point that I was just like kind of not doing anything.
The nature of a mother.
Of course it is. And like, but she still fully supports me, and even when she was like, you should look at a plan B, she was still going, don't stop doing music at all. I'm not saying stop doing it. Just look at other things you can do in the meantime. And I was kind of like, no, there is no point in that. But she's still been extremely supportive in terms of that. And my nana's kind of, she's kind of on the same wavelength. She's kind of always kind of like been worried that I was just gonna go off and go, okay, so I'm gonna do music and then not do anything about it. Because obviously there are people out there who will go, I'm gonna do this and then don't do anything about it. But I think, so obviously they were both kind of like, oh, you should have like backup plans and things that you're gonna do in the meantime. But I think they've seen, like, because that was like what I was like 16 when all that was going on. So like they've seen how much hard work I've put into this and what I'm getting out of it, and they've gone, okay, we can tell you're completely serious about this now, so go for it, just do it, and you will get by. And even if you don't, you can always just, there's always a bed in either of the houses that I go to, and I can just get by and do what I love, which is the point of it all, really.
We've been talking for an hour now, and I can even feel the passion that you have, which is really good. Okay, Brooke, can you tell me some of the challenges that you faced in your journey, in your musical journey?
Definitely exposure is probably the biggest one. I mean,
exposure.
Online
exposure or exposure in general.
Exposure in general, like just the fact there are so many people out there who are like, who want to get into this industry, and every single one of them is capable of getting into this industry. It's such a hard kind of fight that you have to be in to like get gigs and jobs and like get onto different channels, because there's all these people putting all these like amazing pieces out there. And then obviously, like, if you put your music out there and go, okay, so can you do a remix of my song? You're gonna get compared to other artists, and it is a struggle, because obviously there are that many amazing people out there now who have like the availability to just go to people and be like, can you do this? That you do have to constantly put yourself against other artists, not in a comparison way, but you have to constantly like compete against people. So that's definitely a struggle that I've faced as a young artist as well, and not having that much of a career ground at this point in time to kind of go on, and not having that many, like a big fan base at this point.
What have you done toward those challenges, or how do you think you can approach those challenges?
It's definitely a case of trial and error, I'd say. So like obviously you'll send a piece out to a company or someone who runs a channel, and you'll go, can you do this? And they'll go, it's not the music I do. I kind of work with more upbeat songs. So then you'll go, okay, so I can't send them any of the songs that are more acoustic or like sadder, but if I make an upbeat song in the future, I can send it their way. And you just kind of trial and error, and you work out those different, like what works and what people will promote and how to promote it properly. Because again, like obviously when I started, I just put on my Snapchat and just be like, okay, so I just made a song, you should listen to it. And I didn't have a release plan, and I didn't have any following on TikTok at all at that point, or really any social media. I just kind of went, okay, so if you're in my school, go listen to this. And then I had people go listen to it, obviously, and they were like, wow, this is amazing. And I was like, cool. But the difference in kind of like growth in myself and like how I do it compared to how I did do it is like completely different. Like you have to constantly like adapt and like change the way that you as an artist work and you as an artist promote yourself to kind of go with the era that we're in, because everything is always changing. Like this like century, we don't slow down. No one slows down anymore. So you've just got to kind of constantly be like flexible and adapt with it. And if you see something like I'll like scroll on TikTok and I'll see, okay, so this trend is popular at the minute and this is I can put my own twist on that, and then immediately I'll go make a video and post it, because you just have to be quick and you have to be adaptable, or you can't kind of, you're not going to be able to make it as much as like other people who are adapting and being flexible are, type thing.
I agree 100%. Have you done any video, like a reel or a TikTok video that took off and like had a lot of views and likes and comments?
I think it's more for me being kind of like a steady growth kind of process. Like the first couple of videos I post, I'd get like 200 views and I'd be like, wow. And the other day I had a video hit 10k views. So it's kind of like, it's more of a steady process. Like most of my videos now will get upwards of 4k.
What's the most viewed video that you had?
It's a video of me at a photo shoot.
Okay.
And I was promoting Ex-Best Friend, the song that came out last month. Go stream it.
Yeah, I'll put the link down below. Make sure you go check it out.
And that was kind of like, because everyone was like really hyped for it, so like people who were like loyal like followers of my music were commenting going, oh my god, I'm so excited for this to come out. And then more people, obviously it was getting on the For You page more, so more people be like, wow, this is really good, you look amazing in this photo shoot, like we can't wait for the song. And that kind of took off in that way. But it's more just kind of been like a steady process. Like I haven't really had anything that's gone viral yet, but I've had like most of my TikToks now get like 6k upwards views on them, so it is kind of just like a process of growing. Do you think
these numbers are important, or personally are you addicted to them? So if you get like 10k or 20k, it just makes you feel good, or obviously it does make us feel good, but I mean, does that make you feel addicted to those numbers, do you think?
No, I wouldn't say I'm addicted to that. Obviously everyone, especially artists, they do check their numbers constantly. Because it's how many streams am I getting, how many views am I getting, like what am I doing at this point in time, like what are the numbers that I am getting, are they going up, am I making steady progress? Yeah. And obviously like one of my main things is I want to be able to live off my music so that I can do it full time. So I'm going, okay, so how much ad revenue am I earning? How much am I getting at this point? When can I get to a stage where I can just do it as a full-time job? So like you do look at them, but I'd say there's a very fine line between observing them and getting addicted to only focusing on numbers. Because again, when I was younger and I didn't really know what I was doing, I was kind of addicted to those numbers, and like I got like 8,000 streams on Claustrophobia. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. I have so many streams, so many people like my music. How cool is that many people are listening to my music? And I kind of was like, okay, so my next song, I need to have 10k streams. And then after that, I need to have 15k streams. And I kind of set myself to those numbers, and I was like, I need to reach this by this date or I am not good enough. And I've got out of that now, and I kind of go, okay, so because Try Harder, which is my most popular song, it's got 100k streams on Spotify at this point, didn't take off at first. In the first couple of weeks it was going, I think I was up to like 2k streams by December, because I released it in November. So by December I had like 2k streams, and I was like, damn, that's not a lot. And then through like hard work and like I worked with a lot of channels on it and stuff like that, it's reached the number it has now. And it's took time, but it's got there. So I feel like a lot of artists kind of hold themselves to those numbers and go, I'm not good enough because this person's reached this number and I haven't reached that number yet. And it's been 1 minute since my song's been out and I've not got 100k streams. And I feel like it's just kind of, it is, again, just like something you kind of have to work through as an artist, because I feel like everyone at some point is addicted to those numbers, especially when you start out, because you're just kind of like, wow, this is all new and overwhelming and people are actually listening to what I'm putting out there, and now my next song I've put out, that's not done as well as the last one, so that means that one's really bad, when it's not. It's just maybe people haven't got around to listen to it yet, or it's not got as much exposure as the one you have before. Sure. So you just kind of, you have to look at it and go, okay, well, why am I doing music? Because if you're only doing music for the numbers, then it's not a passion of yours, and it's not something that you're going to excel in a way that makes you happy, because you're just doing it to have a career in music. But when you go, okay, why am I doing music? I'm doing it because I love it. Then you kind of go, okay, well, the numbers don't really matter. Obviously, they're nice to have, and it's nice to look at your achievements and go, wow, I've hit this.
1 million people listen to your song.
Yeah. Because of net streams, now I have like, I think it's 1.5 million with all the channels that have remixed my songs and stuff. And that's a huge achievement. Especially
Absolutely.
At 18, it's a big achievement.
100%.
And I'm really proud of it, but it doesn't define me as a musician or a person. And I feel like a lot of musicians get stuck in there, this defines me as a person. I have not reached that, so I'm not good enough. And you just kind of have to go, okay, well, I'm doing it because I love it. And it doesn't really matter if one person sees it or a billion people see it. If you enjoy doing it and it makes you happy, then that's all that really matters.
I think it's important when I define myself or anybody else as something, for example, a musician, it's not the matter of getting to some place to be able to prove myself that I am. You know, as long as because to me, it's always a journey.
Yeah.
So as long as you're on that journey, meaning that you are on the right path. But it's the matter of like, do you really see, for example, music as a money-making machine? Or do you see it as a passion that it just makes you feel happy? Then you can obviously find your way around it. Then you can just do a bit of a compromise to be able to make money out of your passion as well. Obviously, that's another story. But I gotta find myself first as a person and as a human being. Then I would be able to do anything else. You know, that's my perception of it. Anyway, where should Brooke Ellen get in life that she would tell herself that this is it? This is somewhere I'm really happy music. It is somewhere that I really want it to be, and this is my ultimate goal.
So my ultimate goal, I think, is, as I said before, to be able to live off it. Obviously, that comes with a lot of hard work. You have to work really hard to be able to live off music, especially with how much you get paid for streams nowadays.
Oh yeah, 100%. Especially with Spotify. I think that's the platform that pays the least. I think for 1 million streams, it's like $300 or something.
Yeah, it's something ridiculous like that. It's really hard to make money, and a lot of, obviously, you know, you've got to try and find a way around that, as you said, and kind of balance the two, because I don't want to become a money making machine in the point that that's the only thing that's driving me, because it's not. It's my passion, and that's why I want to be able to live off it financially, so I can do it all the time. And obviously everything else, like fame and everything else that comes with being successful, is nice, but my main focus is being able to do it all the time, because it makes me really happy to do it. And it's a dream of mine to just be able to wake up in the morning, grab a guitar, start playing it, and go, okay, well, I don't have to go to a 9 to 5. Like I can do this all day, and this makes me really happy, and I earn a living from doing things that make me really happy. And that's kind of like the fulfillment I want to get to in my life, and that would be the point where Brooke Ellen is satisfied with what's going on. And you know, you try and find workarounds. I mean, at this point, I have my merch store.
Yeah, I'm gonna put all her social and her official websites down in the description. Make sure you go and check her out and listen to her songs and give her a follow.
Mm-hmm. And it's just kind of, you know, like you do all these things, and like my merch store is kind of like, it's helping me out a lot financially with it, but it's kind of, I'm at the point now where I'm kind of, the money that I make from music is kind of now starting to fund the music itself, which is great because it means that all the money I'm earning from like my job that I work at the minute is like, I can save that money for like huge projects, but it's kind of starting to fund itself at this point, which is kind of the turnaround point, because obviously it goes from you put money into it to you have a balance, and then it starts to like profit itself. You start to earn more than what you're putting in.
Sure.
Which is, so I'm kind of in the middle ground right now, which is like really good. And I'm like really happy about it, obviously, because it means that I can focus more on it than what I was previously, because I had to work so much to be able to afford to put music in there. But all of my supporters and everyone who's supported me in my journey is really helping me to reach that goal a lot sooner than what I thought I was going to reach.
That's great. That's great. What are the 3 elements that you would say are the elements of a successful musician to become successful in the music industry? What are those 3 elements?
Passion, 100%. You need to be passionate about it. If you're not passionate about it, then there's no point in putting yourself out there. Hard work. It takes a lot of dedication to be able to get to any point in your career. You need to put hard work in. And probably also just being able to, like, confidence, like being able to put yourself out there, like taking the opportunities and the risks and putting yourself on a stage or on the internet. Being able to do that is going to help a career massively.
If you weren't a musician, who would you be?
Let's just say, a big question.
Let's just say the music does not exist in the world. What would you do? Who would you be?
That's a pretty sad world. I'd probably do acting still.
Acting.
At this, but I mean, I still do acting. I'm still looking for ways to, because I do, singing is obviously my main one, but I also want to act and I also want to do modelling as well. They're kind of like the big 3, so I'd probably do one of them if music didn't exist. But thankfully it does.
So what do you do in terms of exercise? Do you have like a routine, like mentally and physically? Are there things that you do daily, weekly to keep your mental and physical state in a good level?
Well, weekly I'll try and sit down and write music because as I said, obviously mental health is like a huge thing with my music, and I put all of my experiences and everything I've gone through into my music. So writing out, even if it doesn't become a song, because sometimes I'll turn it into a piece of poetry or just a piece of creative writing or literally just a sentence on a page. Writing is like a huge thing that's helped me mentally kind of get over things that I've been working through. Again, even if it's just a sentence on a page a week, I'll always try and write something down about how I felt in that week, whether it's in the moment or the next day or at the end of the week. I'll kind of think back and I'll think, okay, well, I felt like this on Wednesday because this happened, so I'll write down something about that. And, you know, sometimes it can turn into a piece and it can be amazing to do that. And sometimes it just sits there and it's just in my notes app on my phone, and that's fine. Because, you know, it helps me process how I feel. Writing it out and speaking it out a lot as well kind of help me process it. And whether it's I'll sit in my room and just talk it out loud, and then my mum will come in and look at me like I'm insane because I'm just talking to myself in my room.
No, it's very therapeutic.
Yeah.
I think when you talk to yourself, it really helps.
Yeah. Or I'll talk to someone who I'm really, really close with, and I'll just kind of like talk through things or talk through something that's bothering me. And a lot of the time it's kind of like in your head, it's kind of like a little ball that's stuck, like a little knot in your head. and talking it out or writing it out for me kind of unties that knot, and it kind of it strings it out, and it's kind of it sorts it out, and I can kind of think more clearly when I write out, when I speak it out, than if it's just in a ball in my head. So normally, like, if I'm struggling with something that week or on a day-to-day basis, I'll normally go to someone I'm close with, like my mom or my girlfriend or someone who I'm like really close with and I trust, or my producer, and I'll go, this is what's bothering me, and I'll just speak it out to them, and they'll either listen to me and go, okay, do you feel better now? And I'll go, yeah. Or they'll give me some kind of like insight or advice in how to fix the issue that I'm going through. And it is really therapeutic, and I'd say it is something that's really helped me get over a lot of things that I've gone through. Even down to when I talked about earlier about the body dysmorphia that I went through a lot when I was younger. Even just that, I'd go downstairs to my mum and I'd go, Mom, I really don't like my arms today. They feel really stodgy. I just feel not myself. And she'd go, okay, well, why? And I'd go, what do you mean? And she'd go, well, why don't you feel like yourself? Like, what is bothering you? And I'd go, this tiny lump of skin here is bothering me. And she'd go, okay, but that's part of you. Like, that piece of skin is part of your body. It's what makes you. So you've got to look after it. And like just kind of like hearing that and just kind of like going, I'm bothered about this, and someone going, well, why are you bothered about it? And I'll go, I don't actually know why I'm bothered about it. Why am I bothered about it? And it kind of really just helped me work through it. Another big one's probably exercise. I try and exercise as much as I can. What do you do in terms of exercise? I go to the gym as often as I can. It's not every day because I don't think. I mean, a lot of people can go to the gym every day, but for me personally, like, I need days off to kind of just mentally chillax. But obviously, exercise is really helpful. So you feel okay those days that you don't go to the gym mentally? Okay. Yeah. And it's just kind of like a day to take a breather for me. But I will go to the gym and I will do a good run on the treadmill. And it makes me feel a lot better and a lot happier, and it can just boost your confidence a lot as well. 100%. But I only actually started doing that recently. It's kind of like a new thing in my life, like the past couple months I've been doing it. But it has really, I've seen a big difference. So exercise is a big one, and obviously writing and singing as well. If I'm in a really, really bad mood, I'll just shut my door and just scream a song out, the loudest song I can find. I will just sit there and I will just belt it out. I will just annoy everyone with it for the next like 3 hours. And I'll literally just scream it out. But through music. But obviously that's very therapeutic as well. That's the things that she's mentioning is very interesting. And I really appreciate her honesty because it's really important. It's very nice of you to be very honest and transparent about these kind of things. But I think I want to point out to one specific part of what you're saying. She's coming up with ideas as a tool to be able to get rid of those emotions, whatever they are. I think it's important as an individual, all of us come up with those tools, so-called tools, that we would be able to get rid of those emotions. You know, for you it's singing, for somebody else it might be something else. But I think like going to the doctor, don't get me wrong, if I am in that severe condition that I need a tablet, it's good to go to the doctor and get that tablet. But I gotta think of a long-term solution for it. And I think those solutions, those tools to have in my toolbox, like obviously virtually, not like physically, to be able to reach them. For example, go sing for half an hour, or go for a walk for half an hour, or go to gym. All these things are gonna lift me back up to my normal mental or physical state, right? Yeah, I mean, I think you have to find what makes you feel good. And obviously, music makes me feel good, and writing makes me feel good, and going for a half an hour run on a treadmill makes me feel good. But it might not make someone else feel good. And obviously, it's really important to speak to professionals if you get to the stage where you need to speak to a professional. But as you said, it's really important to look for things that make you happy and work on them, because a lot of times that I've found when I've struggled is obviously I'll still take the medication I'm on and I'll still look after myself medically. But a lot of the time what gets me out of that like rut that I'm in is working through my emotions through things that make me happy, whether it's eating a bar of chocolate or watching a movie that makes me laugh or just anything that makes you happy. It doesn't matter if you think it's not going to help. If you enjoy doing anything, you should do it and see if it works, because everyone's different and different things work for different people. And something that works for me might not work for someone else. Like someone might go to the gym and go, this makes me feel awful. I don't like doing this. And that doesn't work for them. And that's completely fine, because everyone is different. We're all the same underneath, but everyone is different. Everyone has their own personality and their own thoughts and feelings and who they are as a person. And I feel like it's just really important to find what makes you happy and what works for you as an individual.
As you told us, you write about mental health in your songs. If there is one message that you want to tell somebody who's watching this, who's suffering from mental health, what would that be?
Definitely, you're not alone. Most people on earth think that they are alone in what they feel. Sure. Whether it's, the things that you keep just to yourself. You're like, okay, well, I can't tell anyone about this because they're going to judge me, I'm going to be alone in this. Or whether you just feel like not supported by the people around you. Everyone goes through so many different things in life, and I think it's just really important to remember that you are loved. If by no one else, my supporters are loved by me. I love every single one of them because they support me in what I'm doing. And that is just such an amazing thing and such an amazing gift that they've given me, is to be able to do this. And, I want people to know that they aren't alone. And that's the whole reason I'm doing music. And that's the whole reason I fell in love with music in the first place, is because it made me feel like I wasn't alone. Because the artists who I listened to were going through similar things to me. And, whether you talk about it or not, there are people who are going through similar things to you. Maybe not the exact same situation, because everyone's situation is different, but
obviously.
We're all going through stuff, and I feel like we all need to support each other. So if no one else is out there, you are not alone, and I love you.
Where do you think the future of music is going? As you're aware of, the music is coming from like labels and vinyls going to streaming. What do you think the next form of consuming, that's not really the terminology I like to use for music, but obviously that's the way that they use it, right? What do you think the next form of consuming music would be?
I think that something that's becoming like increasingly popular is people like live streaming instead of going to concerts and stuff like that. So it's all becoming a lot more digital. And in ways it's good, because, there's people out there who can't reach a musician's concert or can't afford to go to a musician's concert, and they get to watch it for free at home. For whatever reason they can't go, they get to watch that performance. But obviously it takes away from live music, which is something that I think is also really important. But I definitely think that the industry itself is definitely going down the route of becoming almost completely digitalized, which is good because obviously it's accessible to everyone. But there are things that I hope that stay in the music industry, like live performances, because it's such an amazing feeling to be able to sing for people in a room. Even when I've gone to other people's concerts, just watching them on stage, I'm just like, wow, that's amazing. Like, just being here with all these people and having one specific interest, which is put you all in a room watching this one person on stage. It's so cool. So I really hope that stays in the music industry, but it is definitely becoming a lot more digitalized as a whole. But I think in a way as well, with what I was talking about with the mental health thing, I think musicians themselves are becoming a lot more open than what they were. And in the previous eras of music we've gone through, because if you look back to the 80s and the 70s and everything that was going on there. No one really talked about mental health. It wasn't really brought into songs either. But now we've kind of got to a stage where artists are standing up and they're going, you know what, we do go through struggles too. Like, these are the struggles that we go through. Here's music about it. And it's kind of, it is a beautiful thing to see that many people opening up and, like, being vulnerable to your audience is just, it's so nice to be, because, you know, you've got this group of people who are looking at you as a person, because what can happen, obviously, is that, like, a lot of musicians are kind of put on a pedestal, especially really successful musicians are really put on a pedestal and kind of looked at as, like, not a human. They are some kind of, like, gods to other people, like someone who is, they're called idols, like, they are idolized by other people, and that's great, but, you know, they're still people at the end of the day. And, like, I've always kind of stuck to that, and the people that I idolize and I look up to is, like, I look at them and I'm like, wow, what you've done, your successes are amazing in the industry that you're in. Like, this is so hard to achieve and you've achieved that. That is amazing. You are still a person, though. Like, you still are a human being.
Yeah.
And you have your own thoughts and feelings and emotions. And I think it is really, really amazing that we get to see a lot more of that from a lot more artists now than what we did. So I definitely think music itself is taken on a more vulnerable form and a more, like, raw form than what it was, which is what I really like about it. But mainly that it's going to become more digitalised.
Brooke Ellen, last words.
Make sure to look after yourself.
That's it.
Links down below.
Okay, it was actually such a pleasure to see a musician from such a young age to have this much knowledge, this much passion, and I can see, and I'm 100% sure everyone who's watching this can see the passion that you have for music, and we wish you all the best. Obviously, you don't need luck because you're driven by the fire that is inside of you that's making you go forward, and I hope all the best for you. Everybody, thanks for watching. Make sure you go to the description. I'm gonna put socials down below. Make sure you go have a listen, go to her website, give her a follow, and tune in for some more.